One.
Buenos noches, amigos, and welcome to episode 20 of Not Another Sox podcast. I'm Jack Webster here with Matt Galveo and Matt LeBeau. We're no longer locked out, and we're actually making moves, fellas.
Dude, big move today. Big move. This is the move we've been waiting for. We needed that big bat, and the last couple of days they've been Trevor Story's been close to signing, so he finally signed with the Sox, and that's big move for Heim Bloom to get that big bat in the lineup there. So feeling good today.
Yeah, after a long 2 weeks, the story is finally over,
Oh,
and yep. I'll let you use that one if you guys want.
all right.
It has finally come to a conclusion, and I'm very happy. I'm very happy. I'll start there. There's a lot of things that we're going to talk about, the impact, how it's going to benefit the Red Sox, how it's going to hurt the other teams in the American League East. We'll have a few laughs at Yankee fans' expense, who once again missed out on another free agent, and now looks like they pretty much missed out on all of them. But this is a Red Sox podcast, not a Yankees podcast.
That's
And
right.
to say, at the very, very least, I'm incredibly happy about Trevor Story. I think he's exactly what they needed, and I think he's a fantastic fit.
No, I mean, there was a lot of names starting to come off the board. We'll get to that a little bit more later on in the podcast. So at that point in time when we signed him, he was really the last big piece that you could get out there without having to give up prospects, without having to take on a larger contract and, find a partner for it. So I think, it's a very good deal for us at the end of the day. It's a good deal for him too. And, I'm glad that he finally made the decision that he can play second base for, at least a little bit.
No, exactly, and it's I think the the AAV was what about 23 million, 23.5 million per, and then he's got the opt out after the fourth year.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's a solid deal. Obviously we've talked about Arroyo playing second, so now it looks like you got that locked up with Story and then Bogarts at short. Um, and it was kind of interesting. I know people are kind of talking about the whole like Bogart scenario after this season, whether or not he's going to leave. I do know that we know that Bogarts and had a pretty big part of Story actually coming here. I know he kind of helped recruit him. So I think that infield right now is going to be pretty solid with Story, Devers, Bogarts. It looks like the Red Sox got a pretty solid infield right now.
Yeah, I think the biggest benefit here is that it is a puzzle piece, just like kind of JD was, and I think that this is the model of this franchise. I don't think that like in the early in the offseason, and then obviously in the most recent past couple of weeks, it was, are they going to spend? Maybe are they actually just penny pinchers? Maybe they just, maybe this is just a new model of the Boston Red Sox, and it looks like that they're going to spend, but they're going to do it more smart and be patient, wait out their guy, and try to get that AAV as low as possible, just like they did with JD. They didn't overpay for JD. They didn't overpay for Trevor Story. They got a lot more athletic because that was a huge hole. They were a terrible base running team in 2021. I mean, Christian Vasquez led the team in stolen bases. I'm not saying Trevor Story is going to come in and swipe 40 bags, but you add JBJ, you add Trevor Story, and now your team is a lot more athletic, more balanced. Definitely much happier than what I was a week ago. Definitely worried about a week ago with where we were headed.
Right, because we've been kind of talking even in like the group chat about obviously the Renfroe trade and bringing in JBJ, and then there really wasn't any other big move after that. So obviously this signing definitely helps out, and it makes the Renfroe deal make a little bit more sense.
Sure.
With bringing in a guy like Story.
Agree. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, and I don't think this is the last move the Red Sox are actually going to make either. I mean, I think we're actually going to see free agency play a little bit differently this year, where there's still going to be trades and moves happening past April 7th when, opening day happens. And we'll still be kind of, figuring things out, I think. Maybe we'll add another bat to complement JBJ, especially maybe like a right-hander like Tommy Pham, or something like that, and maybe even another starting pitcher now that Chris Sale might be out for a
Yeah.
little bit. So,
Mhm.
thankfully, you have your biggest hole filled right now with Trevor Story. You can go into the season right now and feel confident with your chances because you got that guy. But there's no reason to, take your foot off the pedal if we are able to, still improve the team.
No, absolutely. And they will still make improvements, whether it's obviously, like you said, in the coming weeks, whether it's in April, which is a very, very big possibility, or whether it's at the trade deadline. The good thing about the way that the organization has ran itself in the last 3 years is now you have a few more additional pieces that you can play with without completely gutting the farm system. You can add a valuable piece at the trade deadline, whether it's a rental or even a long-term guy. I think that the other thing here is that I really like Christian Arroyo, and I really like what he brings to the team. I would give him a shot at playing 162 games at second base. I just don't think his health can hold up. He had so many I know that he had a lot of bad luck,
Yeah.
they say, but he had so many just weird, fluky injuries, and it was like constant. I just
Never
think
very
maybe,
nagging.
yeah, I just think maybe he's just not. I think he's a good fit as a utility guy. Just plug him in, play him, and he doesn't have to play 150 games. He can play 80.
No. No, if somebody goes down, you feel comfortable with Christian Arroyo taking over at least part-time at third base, second base. And, God forbid Xander goes down, then Trevor Story moves to short and you play Arroyo at second. So there's a lot more flexibility that gets added to it with Christian Arroyo, not having to be at second base every single day. He'll still get his at-bats. Maybe he'll even, pick up some role in the outfield. You kind of see Bobby Dahlbeck also being one of those guys that's getting time at second base, getting time in left field. So the more tools you give Alex Cora in terms of roster flexibility and maximizing players' potential, the better chance this team has at actually winning and going deep in the postseason.
Right. And Cora's like the perfect manager for that, for being able to plug and play guys, make adjustments if he needs to. Cora's perfect for that. And Story, like you mentioned, Jack, kind of gives you that, he's a guy that can, obviously move to short, play second. He can kind of, play those, both those positions in the infield. So, pretty flexible player as well.
Yeah, like you said, Cora is the perfect guy for that. I think that the message to Arroyo should be just buy into what we're doing. You're not going to be a full-time starter, and you're probably not going to make the All-Star team, and you're probably never going to get a big contract, at least, in the next few years. But you can be a very valuable piece, and you can be definitely respected in this organization. Look at guys like, the Brock Holtz of the world, the Kevin Millars of the world. I mean, they had a very, very big role on some very good teams and were very valuable. And I think that's what the message should be to Arroyo. And if he can buy in and accept that, then he'll be a great player. He was last year. He was very, very good last year. So.
And now he can actually play in Toronto as well.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
They're going to need to play in Toronto.
Yeah.
So, because
we had
Toronto.
a few guys in that boat. Xander was in that boat. Kevin Pilecki was in that boat. And, glad that they took the shot to, actually just play the games there. Chris Sale, we'll worry about that later.
Yeah.
And, hopefully that becomes a problem where you actually have to, have him on the mound.
Right. And at the end of the day, like, it comes down to you're kind of affecting your own career at this point, which, I mean, it is what it is. I'm not going to get political, but these guys have to make a decision between, I'm going to pass potentially a lot of money or my starting position because I don't want to get vaccinated. And for guys that are kind of on the borderline of already being on the team, Plawecki and Arroyo, namely, where they're kind of expendable and really replaceable, I think that they kind of are, their hands are tied. I think they kind of have to. So I'm glad they did.
Yeah, go ahead.
No,
Jack.
and I mean, there are guys that, I think the Red Sox were in before they signed Trevor Story. I think the kind of big one that may have caught some people by surprise that the Red Sox were in as much with was Freddie Freeman, who ended up going to LA, and, shame on Atlanta for not even really trying to re-sign him. But that was, a guy I think, also who could have really helped out the team.
Yeah, to be honest, now that I'm kind of looking at it though, and the way that everything unfolded with the last two free agent signings, Freeman and Story, it looked like the Red Sox interest in Freeman was, I think, over exaggerated to drive the price up. Like I kind of think Heyman is like pumping these guys' like value a little bit. And I think that
What?
I think that then he did it again with Story, and it was Buster Olney and John Heyman, the two fucking clowns, and they were like, "Oh, Yankees are in on Story," and I don't think the Yankees really were ever like in on
No.
Story. They just knew that he was going to be going to the Red Sox, and I think they were just trying to drive the price up. And I think the Yankees were probably in on Freeman. That might have been the only one that would have made sense, but I mean, then they signed Rizzo, so it did.
I thought they traded for Matt Olson. I heard that they traded for Matt Olson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't. You know what? And Matt Olson got an extension immediately, and I don't even think the Yankees would have been able to afford it. I mean,
No. They're a poverty franchise. How could they afford it? They got hit so hard by the pandemic, and then fans not even coming out once it was a full capacity stadium. They got hit so hard living in the most densely populated city in the United States of America. They got hit so hard by having boring players like Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton. They got hit the hardest out of all of this.
Yep. If they don't extend Judge, come to an agreement with him, Yankee fans are. It's gonna be interesting in the Bronx, and it's gonna be interesting on Twitter. It's gonna be interesting. It'll be a show.
Guys will be rattled.
According to a colleague of our manager, even who is a diehard Yankees fan, it's going to get done by opening day. That's like, a week and a half away probably, but it's going to get done. So don't you worry.
Yeah, they're going to need to open a whole additional insane asylum for Yankee fans if Aaron Judge walks and goes somewhere else. If he goes to the Dodgers, the Mets, the Red Sox, wherever, there will be.
The Mets would be the funniest thing to ever happen in the existence of mankind. I will buy Mets season tickets just to support this.
Now that would be amazing. That would be amazing. I just think like now the Mets have the highest payroll in baseball. I don't think that they would want to now go and spend $40 million AAV on Aaron Judge. I don't know if that's what's going to be, but I mean, it's not.
Steve Cohen will do it personally.
I kind of feel like I kind of agree. Like I feel like he would at least it would go down to the wire. Like at least he would like try to drive the price up if he goes to free agency. Definitely.
Yeah. But don't worry, Josh Donaldson is still an elite player.
Yeah.
So that also touches upon what the fuck are the Minnesota Twins doing? Like somehow in a span of like 2 weeks, they lost Josh Donaldson. They got the shortstop from the Rangers and flipped him over. They signed basically Carlos Correa to a 1-year deal with maybe a year or two on top of that. So I do not see what the fuck they're doing. It's a very weird division, but yeah, that was a head scratcher.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where like I think that they see the division kind of open and they're going for it for a year. I think just see how it goes. The lineup's good. I think that they'll contend. They'll be good, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're going to be good enough to justify spending all that money on Correa. And also you took some money from Sanchez, but I think the biggest thing is they did get rid of the Donaldson contract, which is nice for them. So they freed up some money there. But I think that trade, the Yankees Twins trade, I think you could say that was probably a good trade for both teams. I think it was a sensible move by the Yankees, and I think that it filled a hole at that shortstop. I think that they believe in, Volpe. So
do you think the Yankees fans are ever going to admit Gary Sanchez was a fat fuck and, just was not good at being a catcher whatsoever. Yeah, he had ding-dongs, but, can they just admit that he fucking sucked now?
He was a good hitter, but also I think also that was overstated too. Like he had a lot of years where he was like kind of hovering around like 230, 240. And I mean, he hit home runs, but I don't think he was a good enough hitter to be that bad at being a catcher. That's all.
Yeah, I think they're still I think they still pull for Gary Sanchez. They definitely still think he was obviously one of the still a pretty good player and a good talent there. Our coworker Jack, our manager, yeah, he was he was behind Gary Sanchez. He said, "Hey, I think he was a good player for us." And yeah, I don't know if they'll ever admit that. That's interesting for sure.
Well, I mean, they're very stubborn,
Right.
as it is. So, he's beloved there, and the farewell tweets were nice. But
Yeah.
I hope he does well in Minnesota. I hope,
Yeah.
the Twins Yankees is kind of like a weird like rivalry. It's like a half rivalry where like they play each other in the playoffs a lot.
Yeah.
And I do hope that like they play each other in the playoffs and
That'd
Gary
be
Sanchez
unbelievable content.
and Carlos Correa go off.
What I
great.
truly hope happens is the Yankees have a 3-0 series lead in the ALCS and then blow it. Not that the Yankees are going to make it until the ALCS, but I would love for another 0-4 to happen for them, but it's the Twins this time.
Yeah. I just don't hope that because that means the Red Sox wouldn't be
Right.
in.
Yeah.
But that would be
Yeah.
hilarious.
No, I mean, maybe in like the ALDS, the Yankees are leading 2-0, and then the Twins come back from 3-0. Then we beat them, and then we won the World Series because, of course, we're going to win the World Series. We're the Red Sox. We got Trevor Story. Everything's good.
I mean, looking at the lineup, they have a very, very good chance to win a World Series, contend for the division. They, like I said before, I mean, you add Story, and now you add 30 bombs, almost guaranteed to your lineup. You add a ton more athleticism, great infield defense. You become more versatile because now, like we said before, Arroyo moves to a utility position. Don't forget, you still have Travis Shaw. Right, so he can be your kind of utility man for the corner spots, first and third. Give you some options there, and then Bobby Dahlbeck becomes a little more expendable, maybe via like a trade because you have Cassis and you have Shaw. Cassis obviously not yet, but sometime, hopefully this season. So I think that this move is just for $23 million a year. The Red Sox get a lot in return. I don't think there's much you can really say that's too bad about it. The year commitment, which is probably going to be 6 years, could be 7. I'm totally fine with that because Xander could opt out, or he could opt out or walk, and now you have your insurance for Xander. So, good deal.
Well, I mean, ideally, it's even a 4-year deal because, I mean, if he opts out, that means he's doing well and, he's going to want more money. So, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But if you're paying, Trevor Story less than $100,000 or $100 million for 4 years, you're going to take that in his prime. I think also one thing I wanted to touch upon that I think is kind of just a myth now is players leaving Coors doing bad. I think you see with DJ LeMahieu and Nolan Arenado that you can leave Coors and do well. I'm not worried about that at all. And I think, he's going to do really well at Fenway Park with, his swing and the monster. It's very cliche with right-handed hitters, but it's true.
Right. And at the end of the day, like if everyone could hit well in Coors Field and that was the thing, like I'm not saying it's not a hitter's park. It obviously is. But if that was the thing, like the Rockies would be churning out, these unbelievable offensive teams and these unbelievable offensive players, and they've had some decent offensive players. But let's not act like they're a factory for 45 home run guys or 30 home run guys. I mean, Story and Arenado, that's in the last 5 years. I mean, that's your two. I mean, every team in the league has two guys that they've developed that can hit 35 plus home runs. I mean, it's just,
Charlie Blackmon for a second, but even he kind of fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah, I guess you could say him. And they've had, I mean, in the past they've had good teams, but so is everybody. I mean, I just think that's a little overblown,
Yeah. And now they have Chris Bryant.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah. That is even more crazy than anything the Twins have done, but that's a whole nother can of worms.
Yeah, this was one of those off seasons where it was like I just so many random teams did so many random things, and it wasn't like the big market clubs like just like going after the big market guys. It was the small to middle market just like throwing money at guys like, the Seagers of the world, Javier Baez, fucking
Tigers
Chris
are making
Bryant.
moves.
Yeah. Like it's just very weird.
Yeah, like you mentioned, LeBeau. Yeah, it was kind of like I know LeBeau. You kind of called it a bloodbath this offseason.
Yeah, I stole that from Red Sox stats, but it was a bloodbath, and it was terrible because it was just like everything that went wrong. And I think the one that really rubbed me the wrong way the most was not like directly replacing Hunter Renfroe, especially with Sully Suzuki. Like that was
a kick in the dick.
That was one where that was an obvious fit too. Who knows? Maybe we wouldn't have signed Trevor Story if we did sign Sully Suzuki. So I would rather take Trevor Story at the end of the day. I think
Me too.
Suzuki obviously would have worked out great for us as he filled an exact hole that we needed. But if I had to pick one, I'm still taking Trevor Story over him.
Yeah, you definitely take Story. You know what he is. You know he's going to be a good player for you. He's done well in Major League Baseball. Sully never played Major League Baseball before. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be a bust. He's not like going to be like Kosuke Fukudome. Yeah. He's going to do well, but like you'd rather take Story. I just thought it was such an easy replacement to make that switch. Like you lose Renfroe, grab Suzuki. You lose Schwarber. I mean, you really didn't replace Schwarber. I mean, you just kind of I guess you replaced two guys with one and JBJ. So like you didn't really replace Schwarber. You also didn't really replace Renfroe. They kind of just went in a different direction, and in turn they got a lot more athletic, which I think that Alex Cora likes that style a little bit more.
No, I agree. I mean, there are guys in the minor leagues that can help fill some of those roles. Maybe even Jarren Duran actually finally steps up and takes that turn. It's not too uncommon for a guy to struggle first time around in the big league. So, there's no reason to give up on him quite yet. Maybe he's not that all-star that we thought he was, but I think he still could, contribute to the 2022 team and hopefully even beyond that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and you guys were talking about obviously Suzuki, and what you have in Story is just a known commodity. You know what he can bring. You know what he has in the majors, so it's perfect. And obviously, he fills the holes that you needed to. So, just a solid signing for Chaim Bloom. And it doesn't look like he's done. We saw the picture of him at the spring training game today with the bucket hat on his phone. Wheeling and dealing. I don't think it's done.
Yeah.
Like we said, we could still see some moves, in the next couple of weeks here.
Yeah. So what I like about, just signing Trevor Story is now we kept our core prospects of Tristan Cassis, Nick York, Myers, and even Duran. So, it would be great if we could keep all those guys and, add a piece, but I feel a little bit more comfortable maybe trading away one of those, definitely not two of them, but to, maybe get an impact player, maybe a starting pitcher, maybe an outfield corner bat. That's long term. So, it gives us a lot more things to play with in terms of, roster flexibility, the current team, but also, moving forward as well.
Yeah. And Jack, you kind of brought up the name, earlier today of Luis Castillo as, maybe a possibility of, Heim Bloom going after.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's done great. He's going to cost a lot. He's going to cost you one of those top 3 guys. I really don't see them trading Myers at all just because of how recent it is. And, but it would take, a top name prospect. And we'll see if Bloom wants to do that or if he just wants to hold on.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the beauty of the spot the Red Sox are in right now. I think that you feel confident going into the year with a kind of a wait and see approach. You have all of April, May, and June, and all of July. So you have 4 full months to start the season, see how it goes, see how the Blue Jays perform, see how the Yankees perform, see how the Rays perform. And then if you're in a position where you don't feel great about your pitching or something on your team, then you can make the move for a piece that you feel like you need at that point. The one thing you don't want is to make a move for a pitcher like a Manaea or a Montas or Castillo, and then maybe them not perform that well, and the prospect kind of really does very well. So I mean, it's a wait and see. I think holding off on that is probably best. I also think like maybe you could see what you get out of walk up Hill. I know Paxton's going to be out until midseason, but Tanner Houck, you can kind of see what you have there. See what you have, and then if you don't like it, then you can go out and grab someone.
Yeah, and we have other guys like Brian Bayo, Connor Siebold, and even Cutter Crawford that can make starts for you. It's not ideal. You'd rather just have your guys be healthy, but it's not going to be like a 2020 situation where we're throwing Ryan Weber and fucking Craig from Applebee's out there and just not even giving you a chance to compete.
Right. But nonetheless, now that the Story thing is done, and now that the lockout is over, because I feel like it's always something. Whenever you're a fan of like a big market team, like it's always something. Like the pressure to compete is there, and I give Heim Bloom a lot of credit. I was really critical of him on Twitter.com earlier this week because I think it was a lot of restlessness, a lot of anxiety. Like you fear that like you're gonna hire someone, and yes, they might know way more than you, but as a Red Sox fan, you have a certain expectation of how you want the organization run, and the fear is that maybe Heim Bloom wasn't like the guy that understood what Red Sox fans really wanted. Like he might run an organization at an exceptionally high level, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he is like a good fit. I think this proves though that he does both. He can be the spender when he needs to spend, and he can be the guy that you hired him for to run the organization efficiently, which is develop guys, not sign really stupid contracts, put an emphasis on the farm system. So I think this proves that Heim Bloom is here to do the job that we envisioned him doing, and not the one that that gets talked about on Sports Hub, like, oh, Heim Bloom is turning the Red Sox into the Rays. We're not the Rays. The Rays wouldn't throw $140 million at a second baseman. It just wouldn't happen. So I'm very happy, but now I'm really excited for opening day. That's where I was going with this. This whole thing, now it's Stories on the team. Now I'm really excited for opening day.
Yeah. So I never really saw us trying to be the Rays. I see us trying to be the Dodgers, where we are able to have a big payroll. We are being able to sign these guys. But, Dave Dombrowski was a guy that, went all in on, winning the World Series. He did. He, mortgaged the farm system. He signed a lot of big names to do it. So there was a little bit of cleaning up after that. And, basically a 2-3 year transition for Bloom. And, we're made it to the ALCS last year. Definitely think we have a shot at the World Series this year. So, we'll see, how it continues long term. but we're in a good spot and probably a better spot than we've been in the last, few seasons since 2018, realistically.
Right. Yeah, and I think like you guys were saying, Bloom is a perfect guy to come in and clean up the mess, like you said, for that. Obviously Dombrowski had here, and it looks like he can be that guy. LeBeau, like you were saying, that can kind of do both. So it's exciting. Obviously with the Story signing, pumped for opening day and for the season. That Story signing definitely got the juices flowing, this afternoon. Baseball's right around the corner here. Opening day is almost here. And the Sox are, they got a fantastic lineup, and it's going to be a hell of a year for sure.
No, it's going to be really fun, and we're all looking forward to having a lot of good nights at Fenway. But yeah, I think that like the ability to be the Dodgers of the East is available. I think it's there. I don't think you're ever going to be quite the Dodgers. I mean, stadium holds 55,000 people. It I mean, you have they have one of the largest network deals in baseball, but you still can develop the organization in a way where it's going to run itself, and you're not going to have to, try to reload every year to compete. But, dude, just what a weird offseason, what a fun offseason, kind of, what a stressful offseason, but mostly, what a fucking hilarious offseason for the Yankees. I mean, just awesome. Just awesome. It's just fantastic. I saw one thing. I think Jack, you liked it. It was Talking Yanks, and they showed the photoshops they did.
I saw that.
Yeah. Alton, Correa, Freeman, Trevor Story, and they got none of them. They got a clean shaven Josh Donaldson that looks like, just any other dude from New York City, and that was it.
Yeah. And no more Luke Voigt.
One thing I wanted to touch upon is that fucking Hardo, Connor, Isaiah, Wella, whatever his name is, the Yankees traded for, saying like, oh yeah, shaving your beard, it's like the same thing as making your bed. Winners make your bed. I'm like, shut up.
Oh, that was such a cringy.
You played for the Rangers.
Yep.
That was so cringy.
Hardo.
Yeah.
Seriously. I think you know what? I think he's gonna fit in just fucking fine because he did that beard thing, and then he posted himself like a picture of himself at Yankee Stadium. Like, have these guys like learned nothing? Like the whole like Garrett Cole, like Yankee fan today, Yankee fan tomorrow, whatever fucking bullshit. Like, it's just cringy. It's not like it. The Yankees are. I learned about this word like recently. The Yankees are chuggy. Like, that's what they are. They're chuggy. They're that's literally what they are. They're like it's like Yankee fan, they like try to be like involved and trendy, but they just try too hard, and it just always comes back to bite them.
Where did you learn this word?
It's like a TikTok thing.
Okay.
It's
TikTok smack.
It's a Gen Z stupid fucking cunt rag thing. But yeah, no, they are. And like this shortstop, they call him IKF, right?
Yeah.
He's so pumped about it, dude. Like, if he just went on Twitter one time, all he would see is just millions of tweets of Yankee fans being like, I can't wait for Volpe. I can't wait for Volpe. Like, don't sign a shortstop because of Volpe. And like, this kid's just walking into a literally like, he is their stopgap 1 year shortstop. Like, that's
yeah.
Fuck.
I feel like he's
they did sign Marwin Gonzalez though. They did sign.
We saw that. Yeah.
The timing, just fantastic timing.
Yeah. Old friend Marwin Gonzalez.
Yep.
I also did get the 10% notification on my phone, so just a warning, guys.
Yeah, that's okay. I gotta kind of cut it down, anyways.
Jack, you're. I want to give props to you, man. This is a great performance by you.
In my car,
where are you right now?
I am in Gorham, North New Hampshire. It's middle of goddamn nowhere. I'm on a little New England trip right now with Petey in the back. If you're
let's
4 people watching,
ask him what's his take on Trevor Story.
Hey, Petey. Do you think Trevor Story is a better signing than Carlos Correa? Sleep if you think so. Yeah, he's sleeping. He's sleeping.
Yeah, he agrees.
Yeah, he agrees. He knows ball.
He knows ball. No, that's
Fetch.
I mean, other than that, a lot happened, but you guys know of it. We know what happened. The Chris Bryant deal, the Carlos Correa weird fucking 1 year deal, the 1 year 3 year deal, as I'm calling it. Just a bunch of weird shit. It's just a weird off season, and it was I was kind of anticlimactic a little bit. It was crazy because there was a lot of signings and it was a flurry of moves. But I think that it was like it just wasn't where I thought anyone was really going to go. The only one I predicted correctly was Kyle Schwarber to the Phillies. Other than that, all my predictions were just terrible. And I feel like everyone predicted Schwarber to the Phillies for whatever reason. I feel like that someone called that after the last out. They're like Schwarber Phillies. That's it. I don't even know why, but
I feel like he's going to be a good fit in Philly. He seems like kind of like a Philly guy to me too.
Yeah.
Probably crushes cheese.
They got Mountain Dew in Philly.
Yeah. Mountain Dew and cheesesteaks, dude.
Yeah,
it's just I don't know. The Phillies got 8 DHs this offseason, and
they're like, we're getting a DH. We can use that for every slot.
Yeah, I saw that. That was a funny tweet. Someone said, "I think the Phillies misunderstood the idea of the universal DH is not a DH at every position." That was funny.
Oh fuck.
I'm really excited about the universal DH. I think it's good for baseball. I think it's good for just the players. It'll be fun, definitely.
I'm really excited for these larger bases.
Yeah.
The bigger bags.
Hey, sorry. No, go ahead.
I had nothing smart to contribute.
I was going to say, the Red Sox added JBJ and Trevor Story and got rid of Renfroe and Schwarber, and the bases got bigger. They're going to fucking break the stolen base record.
Yeah.
They just might.
Yeah, watch out, Ricky Henderson.
Oh man.
I think that pretty much wraps it up. A little bit of a shorter episode, emergency pod, if you may.
Yeah,
Trevor Story. Doing it for you, and we'll have definitely a few more episodes before opening day, and we really start hitting our stride with everything.
Yeah, Trevor Story, if you're listening, feel free, come on the pod.
Yep.
His first big interview since signing with the Red Sox.
Also, if you're listening out there, follow us, like us, rate us 5 stars. That's always
exactly. We're almost at 1,000 followers on Twitter, which is pretty exciting. Hopefully, we can get there by opening day. That'd be nice.
Yep.
That'd be real nice. But yeah, no, I think that pretty much about wraps it up for the emergency Trevor Story pod. So let's get it.
All right, boys. It was a pleasure. Thanks for coming on.
I'm in the corner watching you kiss me. Oh.
All right. Bye.
Peace.